This rookie officer was treated like trash by his own seniors. He was forced to clean the toilets and bathrooms of the precinct, scrubbing floors while other officers laughed. They would make him polish their shoes, treating him more like a servant than a fellow cop. But when this rookie cop's real identity was revealed, even the most powerful men in the government would bow their heads to him. One night, the Metro City precinct was buzzing with chaotic energy. Officer Seth Kramer had just arrived for his shift when another officer approached him. "Officer Seth, tonight's the night. We're going to arrest the most ruthless mafia in the city, Julian Sinclair. You're coming with us, right?" Before Seth could answer, another senior officer, Jasper Kane, scoffed. "A rookie's job is to chase cats out of rich people's gardens," he mocked. "If this coward even sees Julian, he'll piss in his pants." Senior Officer Jasper had no idea that before becoming a rookie, Seth was a renowned soldier. But a disastrous incident on one mission had forced him out of the army and into a police uniform, where he was assigned to write parking tickets. Jasper humiliated Seth every single day. But that night, something was going to happen that no one could have ever dreamed of. "Hey, rookie," Jasper tried to insult Seth just before they left for the mission. "Maybe you could come with us. There's going to be a shootout with Julian today. We are expecting a lot of casualties. We'll need someone to pick up the corpses." Seth didn't say a word and followed his orders. Officer Jasper left for Julian's warehouse with the entire police force, but the news of the police raid had reached Julian long before they arrived. Their men were ready and waiting to give Officer Jasper's team a warm welcome. Clueless, Jasper stormed the warehouse with his force and shouted, "We have you surrounded! Nobody moved! If anyone acts smart, we are not responsible for what happens next." Hearing Jasper's threat, Julian and his men, who were sitting comfortably in chairs, began to laugh. Julian finally spoke, his voice echoing in the vast space. "Before you worry about our deaths, you should think about your own. If you take one more step, you'll all be going home in pieces. You're standing on a pressure-sensitive bomb. You move, you all get blown away." Fear instantly paralyzed Jasper and his entire team. They looked at each other, then at the laughing crime lords who were eagerly waiting for them to make a fatal mistake. Just then, Officer Seth calmly walked into the warehouse. Julian looked at Seth's face, and all the color drained from his own. "This was a huge mistake, Mr. Kramer," he said in a shivering voice. "We surrender. Please don't kill us." As he said this, Julian and all his men dropped to their knees, bowing before Seth as if disciples were bowing before his master. Seeing the city's most feared gangster on his knees in front of Seth, Senior Officer Jasper felt as if the floor had dropped out from under him. He just stared, dumbfounded. Why would such a powerful man bow down to a rookie? Why would he beg for his life? The secret of Officer Seth's life began in an army hospital where he was counting his last breaths. "Doctor, will he make it?" a soldier asked, his voice strained. "Will Seth be okay?" The doctor looked at the unconscious soldier on the bed and replied calmly, "We can't say anything until he wakes up." Before he was a rookie cop, Seth was one of the most dangerous soldiers in the U.S. Army, but something had gone horribly wrong on a mission, leaving him struggling between life and death. In the emergency room of the military hospital, 5 of the best surgeons were working to save him. His body was riddled with bullet wounds, and he was drenched in his own blood. Outside the emergency room, 2 soldiers, their uniforms torn and stained with blood, paced anxiously. After a long 2-hour wait, the doors to the operating theater opened. The soldiers, along with their squad leader, rushed to the doctor. "Is he okay? What happened?" The doctor managed a tired smile. "You don't need to worry. We saved him. He's a fighter." A wave of relief washed over the soldiers, but then the doctor's expression grew serious. During the fight, Seth was injected with an experimental chemical. It's the only reason he survived such massive trauma, but the lethal substance has now bonded with his blood. It's made him permanently weak. I doubt he'll ever be able to serve in the army again. Hearing this, the soldiers felt the world shift beneath their feet. Jordan Sinclair lost his composure and slammed his fist into the wall. "It's all my fault!" he yelled. "I'm responsible for what happened to him." A senior officer grabbed him by the shoulder. "Jordan, tell me exactly what happened out there. A man like Seth doesn't go down this easily." In a voice choked with despair, Jordan told them a story that shook them to their core. "Sir, I was trapped in that lab in Russia. Seth came to save me." He could have left me behind, but he didn't. Then, out of nowhere, a masked man appeared and stuck a needle in Seth's neck. The senior officer's face hardened with anger. "Because of your mistake, my most capable officer is on the brink of death." Now, everyone was worried. Seth being out of the army would be a huge loss for the Wolfpack Division, a secret unit within the Military Intelligence Bureau. Only the most elite soldiers in the country were selected for it, and Seth had been training for the past 6 months to join their ranks. A few days later, a doctor came out of Seth's room and gave his medical report to the instructor. The instructor looked shocked after reading it. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "but Seth can never join the Wolfpack Division again." The senior officer got angry. "What do you mean? Seth is a fighter." The instructor sighed. "I know, but his strength and speed are gone. He's not fit for the army anymore." Everyone was heartbroken. When Seth woke up, the instructor told him the truth. "I'm sorry, Seth," he said. "You can't stay in the army now. You'll be moved to the police department." Seth froze. The words hit him harder than any bullet. After everything he'd done for his country? He looked down, unable to speak. The room felt colder, quieter. The uniform he once wore with pride now felt like a burden he no longer deserved. Seth walked out of the base quietly. The cold wind hit his face, but he didn't care. He had lost everything: his team, his honor, his home. Now, he was just alone. He kept walking through the dark streets, not knowing where to go. Then he saw a small bar with lights on. Without thinking, he went inside. The place was dirty and smelled bad. He sat at a corner table and ordered a drink, then another and another. He drank until his hands stopped shaking, but the pain in his chest didn't stop. The door opened and a woman walked in. For a moment, the bar got a little quieter. It was Athena, Seth's old friend, but she didn't look like the movie star everyone knew from TV. She wore a simple coat, a low hat, and no fancy makeup. Her hair was tied back. No one really noticed her. A teenager looked up from his phone, then went back to scrolling. The bartender just raised an eyebrow and kept cleaning a glass. No one said, "Hey, isn't that a famous actress?" Athena walked straight to Seth's table and sat down. Seth blinked in surprise. "Athena?" he said. She gave a small smile and whispered, "Don't make a scene." Why would a Hollywood star come to a small, smoky bar to meet an ordinary cop? That question hung in the air, making the moment feel strange and important. "Seth," she said softly, "you're drunk again." He looked up slowly. "Athena, what are you doing here?" "I heard you left the army," she said, "and now you're sitting here breaking yourself. Why?" Seth gave a sad smile. "Because I lost everything." Athena sat down beside him. "You didn't lose everything, Seth. I know why you wanted to be the top soldier." He stayed silent, staring at his glass. She continued, her voice gentle. "It was because of your mom, right? That Mafia took her away." Seth's hand tightened around the glass. "Yes," he said in a low voice. "They kidnapped her years ago. I joined the army to find her. Then I became a cop, hoping I'd get closer. But still, nothing." Athena placed her hand on his arm. "Seth, your mom is still out there, and I believe you'll find her, but not like this. Not by drinking yourself to death." He looked at her, eyes filled with pain and hope. "You really think I can still find her?" Athena nodded. "Yes, you're still the same Seth I knew, strong, brave, and stubborn." For the first time that night, Seth gave a small smile. "Thanks, Athena." She stood up and said, "Come on, let's go home. You can't fight if you can't stand." Seth laughed weakly and got up. Okay, you win." As they walked out into the cold night, the storm outside began to calm, and for the first time in a long while, so did Seth's heart. A few years passed. Seth had changed a lot. He was stronger, calmer, and more focused. He worked hard every day and had become one of the best officers in the city. But even after all this time, he still thought about his mother. One quiet morning, Seth was at home cleaning his gun at the table. The sunlight came through the window and everything was peaceful until the doorbell rang. He opened the door and froze for a second. Standing there, smiling, was Athena. "Athena?" he said, surprised. "It's been years." She laughed. "Yeah, I know, you didn't even call me once." Seth smiled a little. "Guess I got busy trying to fix my life." Athena walked in and looked around. "You've changed, Seth. You look stronger." Seth shrugged. "Just doing my job." Athena nodded and then said, "Well, I've got some big news." Seth looked at her curiously. "What kind of news?" She handed him a newspaper and said, "The police chief made an announcement. The best officer this year will get a chance to join the Wolfpack Academy. The trials start soon." Seth's eyes widened. "Wolfpack? They're opening it again?" Athena nodded with a smile. "Yes. And I think this is your chance. Seth, your second chance." Seth looked down for a moment, then stood up. His voice was calm but firm. "Then I'll take it. I'm ready this time." Athena smiled proudly. That's what I wanted to hear. After Athena left, Seth sat by the window thinking about her words. The Wolfpack Academy. His lost dream was back. He looked at his police badge, then at his mother's photo. "This time," he whispered, "I won't fail." The next day, Seth made a plan. He asked for the night shift so he could train during the day. Every morning after work, he ran through the streets, lifted weights, and practiced fighting. Even when he was tired, he didn't stop. But not everyone believed in him. Some officers laughed when they saw him training. "Look at him," one said. "Didn't he get kicked out of the Wolfpack?" Another chuckled. "Yeah, he's wasting his time. Once a loser, always a loser." Seth heard them, but he said nothing. He just kept training, harder than before. Day by day, he grew stronger. They called him weak, but soon they'd all see who Seth Kramer really was. That night, Seth started his first night shift with his new partner, Ethan Vance, an old, smart cop. As they drove, Ethan said, "In Metro City, remember 3 rules. Don't mess with men who have tattoos, they're gangsters. Don't stop supercars, they belong to rich people. And don't argue with beautiful women, they belong to both." Seth smiled. Got it. Later that night, chaos broke out near the Apex Club. 2 groups of rich young men, including the Rodriguez brothers, were fighting over a spit on a luxury car. Ethan sighed. "Stay out of it, Seth. They're rich heirs. No one dares touch them." But Seth stepped out anyway. He fired a warning shot in the air and shouted, "Stop fighting and apologize." The rich boys laughed. One said, "You know who we are? You can't arrest us." Then one of them spit on Seth's uniform. Seth's eyes turned cold. In seconds, he knocked them down and arrested all 11 of them. He dragged them to the police station himself. By morning, everyone was talking about it. No one had ever arrested the city's richest kids before. To common cops, Seth became a hero. To powerful families, he became a problem. The next morning, the precinct was filled with noise. Everyone was talking about what Seth had done. Some admired him, others looked scared. Then, a line of black cars stopped outside the station. The air turned tense. Out stepped Shane Vaughn, one of the most powerful businessmen in Metro City and father of the Rodriguez brothers. He was tall, calm, and cold-eyed, followed by his bodyguards in suits. He walked straight to the police chief's office without saying a word. A few minutes later, the chief called out, "Officer Seth Kramer, in my office, now!" Seth walked in and stood straight. Shane stepped forward and said, "You arrested my sons. Do you know who I am?" Seth looked him right in the eye and said, "I know who you are. A rich man who thinks money can buy the law. Your boys beat people and ruin cars. That isn't strength. It's cowardice." Shane's face went red with anger. "How dare you speak to me like that?" he hissed. Seth's voice stayed quiet but hard. "They were breaking the law. If they try it again, I'll arrest them again and I won't stop. Money won't save them then." After leaving the police station, Shane Vaughn did not go home. He drove to the North Zone, a dark building where powerful men and gang leaders met. Inside the room, Shane stood at the head of a long table. Around him sat other rich men, shady bosses, and a few of the city's most dangerous fixers. The air was cold and tense. Shane spoke slowly and clearly. "That cop," he said, "humiliated me in front of my sons. He called me a man who buys the law. He threatened my family. I will not be made a fool." He slammed his hand on the table. Everyone fell quiet. "I will pay $1 million to whoever finds Officer Seth Kramer," Shane said. "Bring him to me, alive or dead. No police, no talk. Do it quietly. Do it quickly." A murmur ran through the room. Some men nodded, others smiled at the chance. Shane did not stop there. He looked each man in the eye. "If you fail me," he warned, "you will lose everything. Make sure this cop disappears." The meeting ended. Word moved fast through the city's underworld. The bounty was real. The danger was close. And now many eyes were looking for Officer Seth Kramer. That night, the North Zone was dark and quiet. When Seth walked in, everyone in the room turned to look at him. No one said a word. The air felt heavy, and even the clock's ticking sounded loud. Shane Vaughn stood up slowly and said, "So, you're Seth Kramer." Seth gave a small smile and replied, "Yes, and I'm the man who doesn't run from the law." No one dared to move. Some men stepped back, others looked away. Everyone knew fighting Seth was a bad idea. After a long silence, Shane finally spoke. "Maybe we made a mistake." Seth looked at him calmly and said, "Then fix it. The law is the same for everyone." That night, without even firing a single bullet, Seth changed everything. Everyone in the North Zone learned one thing: courage and justice were stronger than fear and power. When morning came, the sunlight touched his tired face. He hadn't slept for 2 days. Slowly, he walked home through the quiet street. All he wanted was some rest. But when he opened his door, he stopped. There were voices inside his house. 2 young women were sitting on his couch, laughing. One had short brown hair and sharp eyes. The other had long hair and looked shy. Seth frowned. "Who are you?" he asked. The short-haired girl jumped up. "Oh, I'm Ava, and this is Clara," she said quickly. "We rented this house last week. The landlord said it was empty." Seth's face became serious. "Empty? This is my house." The girls looked at each other, surprised. Ava shrugged. "Well, maybe your landlord forgot to tell you. Anyway, we already paid, so we can't just leave." Clara said softly, "We really don't have another place to go. Can we please stay for a few days?" Seth looked at them for a long time. They didn't look poor or scared. They looked sure of themselves. But still, he said quietly, "Fine, you can stay." Ava smiled. "Thanks, sir. We won't bother you." But the way she said "sir" sounded like a joke. Seth went to wash his face. When he came back, the girls were moving his furniture and cleaning like they owned the place. Ava looked around. "Wow, you actually live here? It's so empty." Clara laughed. "Yeah, it feels like an old man's house." And Seth didn't reply. Later, Ava knocked on his door. "Hey, Mr. Seth, we're going to a cafe. You should come. You look like you need to get out for once." Her voice was friendly but teasing. Seth didn't want to go, but he nodded anyway. At the cafe, people were talking and laughing. They sat near the window. Clara asked, "So, Mr. Seth, what do you do?" "I was a soldier," he said. Ava raised her eyebrows. "A soldier? Really?" Then she smiled. "That explains the serious face." Clara giggled. "Yeah, but you don't look like one now." Ava leaned closer. "So what happened? Did they kick you out?" Seth looked down. "The war ended," he said quietly. Ava laughed a little. "Guess the army didn't need you anymore, huh?" Their food consisted of noodles and soup. The girls talked about fashion, movies, and parties. Seth stayed quiet, listening. Then a fly buzzed near their table. Ava waved her hand. That's disgusting." The fly flew towards Seth. He looked up and snapped, caught it with his chopsticks. Everyone in the cafe stopped talking. Ava stared. "Wait, you caught that for real?" Clara's mouth dropped open. "That's crazy." Ava laughed. "Well, at least you're good for something. You could join the circus." People nearby chuckled. Seth opened the window and let the fly go. "Just practice," he said calmly. Ava smirked. "Yeah, sure. Practice catching flies." Clara giggled again. Seth gave a small smile, but inside his heart felt heavy. That night, after coming home from the cafe, Seth lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The sound of Ava and Clara's laughter still echoed in his mind. He turned on his side, trying to sleep, but something inside him felt strange. His heart was beating too fast, like it was shaking his chest. He sat up and took a deep breath. Maybe it was just stress. Maybe he was tired, but this didn't feel normal. He got up and walked to the kitchen to get some water. Crack! The glass broke in his hand. Water spilled all over the counter. Seth froze. "What the hell?" He looked down at his hand. No cuts, no pain, but his veins were glowing faint blue under his skin. Seth stepped back, shocked. "This can't be real!" His hands were shaking as he grabbed his phone and scrolled through his contacts. He stopped at one name, Dr. Barrett. The phone rang twice before a deep voice answered. Dr. Barrett said, "Seth, it's late. What's wrong?" Seth took a shaky breath. "Doctor, something's happening to me. My body feels weird." Dr. Barrett sounded serious now. "Weird how?" Seth stared at his hand. I picked up a glass and it shattered. I feel stronger, faster, like something's burning inside me. There was silence, long and heavy. Seth frowned. Doctor, say something. Dr. Barrett finally spoke. Seth, do you remember that day in Russia? The lab? Seth's eyes narrowed. The day I got shot? The injection? Yes, Barrett said slowly. That wasn't a normal shot. It was something called Project Helix, an experimental serum that was supposed to make soldiers stronger. Seth's voice went cold. You told me it made me weak. It did, Barrett said, at first, but that serum was unstable. It mixed with your blood in ways we couldn't understand. Everyone else who got it died within 1 or 2 weeks. Seth's eyes widened. Wait, what are you saying? Barrett took a deep breath. I'm saying you shouldn't be alive, Seth. And if the serum is waking up again, you might not stay alive for long. Seth's voice hardened. How long do I have? Barrett answered quietly. 1 to 2 weeks, maybe less. Seth looked down. His reflection in the window looked strange. His eyes were brighter, sharper. There has to be a cure, he said softly. Barrett replied, We tried, Seth. Everyone who got that serum died, but your body's different. Somehow you're fighting it. You've lasted longer than anyone else ever did. Seth clenched his jaw. So you're saying I'm dying again? He ended the call. The phone slipped from his hand onto the couch. Seth looked down at his hands again. The blue glow came back brighter this time. He whispered, So, this is what power feels like. But deep inside, his chest felt cold, because for the first time in years, Seth Kramer didn't know if this power was a gift or a curse. The sun was setting slowly over Metro City. As the sky turned orange and dark shadows spread across the streets, the same darkness was rising inside Seth Kramer. Every minute the light faded, the anger in his heart grew stronger. He hadn't slept. His mind kept flashing back to the strange blue light that glowed under his skin the night before. He stood in front of the mirror in his small apartment. His eyes looked sharper, colder. Project Helix, he whispered. The name made his chest tighten. He put on his police uniform and walked out into the night. As he started his patrol car, he muttered to himself, The wolf pack made me a monster. Now they'll see what kind of monster they created. The streets of the North Zone were silent except for the sound of his car engine. Neon lights flickered. Stray dogs barked in the distance. Then Seth heard loud laughter near an alley. He stopped the car and stepped out. There, under a broken street light, stood the Rodriguez brothers, the same rich kids he had arrested before. They were surrounded by their gang, smoking and showing off their cars. When they saw Seth, one of them grinned. Hey, look, the North Zone's hero is back. Another laughed. Maybe he's here to arrest our shadows this time. Their laughter filled the dark street. Seth ignored them and walked past. But then a tall man with tattoos and a silver chain stepped forward. It was Don Bardley, the local gang boss. Well, well, Don said with a smirk. If it isn't the rookie cop who thinks he runs my zone. Seth said nothing. He just stared at him with calm eyes. Don didn't like that. Let's see what you've got. He grabbed Seth's uniform and ripped the sleeve open. The sound of tearing cloth echoed in the cold night. Don sneered. What now, officer? You're gonna cry to your boss? Seth's fists tightened. For a moment, his veins glowed faint blue in the dark light. Don stepped back, confused. What the hell? Before he could finish, 5 men attacked. They punched and kicked Seth from every side. He blocked some hits, but couldn't stop them all. He fell to the ground, breathing hard, blood dripping from his lip. Then a sharp voice shouted, Stop! Everyone turned. 2 figures appeared at the end of the alley, Athena and Ethan Vance. She was Athena, a world-famous superstar loved by millions, but more than that, she was Seth's wife. Ethan aimed his gun. Back off! He yelled. The gang froze for a moment, unsure what to do. Then Don Bardley growled, Grab them too! Before anyone could react, Don's men charged. Ethan shot once in the air, but someone hit him from behind and knocked him down. Athena fought hard with 2 kicks, 1 punch, but there were too many of them. One man grabbed her arm, another hit her on the shoulder. Athena! Seth shouted, trying to stand. They dragged Athena and Ethan away. Seth tried to run after them, but Don kicked him down. Stay down, hero, Don said coldly. Moments later, black SUVs rolled into the alley. The sound of doors slamming echoed through the night. Out stepped Shane Vaughn, dressed in a black coat, his face calm and proud. "This," he said, looking at Seth, "is the cop who dared to stand against me." He turned to his guards. "Take him to the boss. He'll want to see what kind of man challenges the Vaughns." The men grabbed Seth and pushed him toward the car. Seth didn't fight back. His eyes were steady, cold. "I'll make them pay," he thought. "No one touches my wife." It was close to midnight. The mansion stood on a hill outside the city, its windows glowing dimly through the fog. Inside, the air smelled of smoke and power. Shane walked in, dragging Seth with him. "Boss," Shane said proudly, "this is the cop who's been causing problems in the North Zone." A tall man sat in a big leather chair. His back faced them. The room was silent except for the sound of the clock ticking. Then the man slowly turned. When his eyes met Seth's, his face turned pale. The cigar fell from his hand. You're still alive," he whispered, stepping back. Shane frowned. "Boss, what's wrong?" The man didn't answer. He dropped to his knees, his voice shaking. "Forgive me, Commander Kramer. I didn't know it was you." Everyone in the room froze. Guards looked at each other in shock. Shane's mouth fell open. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Seth stood tall, quiet, his eyes glowing faintly blue in the dim light. Will Seth see Athena again? Why did Shane's boss fall to his knees in front of Seth? Will Seth ever find his mother, the reason he became a cop? Will the Project Helix serum save him or kill him? Who was the masked man who injected Seth in Russia? And if the serum inside Seth starts to work again, what kind of power will it give him? Find out by downloading the Pocket FM app and listening to Hearts in the Crossfire. Keep listening by clicking the link below the video. You can't guess what happens next.
Start listening to the exciting audio series for free